They didn't kill a man. They killed the only one I trusted without asking questions. His name was Marcus. Marcus Hayes. We'd known each other since we were kids running numbers in the streets before most people in Harlem knew my name. He wasn't family by blood. He was something more reliable than that. He was the man I called when I needed something done right. The man who knew my secrets and kept them like they were his own. The man who, if I fell, would have made sure my people were protected. Brother. That's what I called him. Not out of sentiment. Out of recognition. Because in this world, blood means nothing if it doesn't act like blood. And Marcus acted like blood every single day for 30 years. They took him on a Tuesday night. 6 men. Waited outside his apartment. Caught him coming home. Put 4 bullets in him. Left him in the street like he was nothing. They wanted me to know it was them. Wanted me to know it was deliberate. Wanted me to understand they weren't afraid anymore. That was their first mistake. Marcus wasn't flashy. Wasn't known outside certain circles. Didn't carry himself like he was dangerous. He was the opposite of everything people think power looks like. Quiet. Thoughtful. Patient. But he was the man who handled my most sensitive operations. The man who knew where money was kept, where bodies were buried, who could be trusted and who couldn't. He was my memory. My second mind. The person who made sure I didn't have to worry about details because he'd already handled them. Losing him wasn't like losing muscle or firepower. It was like losing part of my ability to function. And everyone who knew what Marcus meant to me understood that killing him was the deepest insult they could deliver. The 6 men who did it had worked the periphery of my operations for years. Small-time dealers who thought they'd earned more than they had. Who believed they deserved percentages and territories they hadn't built. Who talked about respect without understanding what the word actually meant. I'd warned them. Multiple times. Told them their ambitions were premature. That patience would serve them better than aggression. That the structure we built protected everyone, including them, and tearing it down to take a bigger piece would destroy the whole thing. They didn't listen. So they planned. Coordinated. Decided that killing Marcus would send a message that I was vulnerable. That my inner circle could be touched. That maybe I was getting old, getting soft, getting too comfortable to respond the way I used to. They thought numbers meant safety. 6 men acting together. 6 men who could support each other's stories. 6 men who believed that spreading responsibility would dilute consequences. They were wrong on every level. The night Marcus died, I got the call at midnight. One of my people, voice shaking, telling me what happened. Where? How many shots? That Marcus was already gone by the time anyone reached him. I didn't react. Didn't shout. Didn't break anything. Just hung up the phone and sat in the dark for a long time. People expect rage. They expect immediate retaliation. They expect blood for blood, fire for fire. But rage is what amateurs do. Rage is what people do when they don't know how to think past their emotions. I wasn't feeling rage. I was feeling something colder. Something that required thought, not reaction. Marcus was dead. Nothing I did would bring him back. But the men who killed him were still walking around, still breathing, still thinking they'd gotten away with something. That needed to be corrected. Not out of emotion. Out of necessity. Because in this world, when you let something like that pass, you're telling everyone that your people can be touched without consequence. And once that message spreads, you're finished. So I waited. 24 hours. Then 48. Then 72. I let them think I was paralyzed by grief. Let them think maybe the rumors were right, that I was too old to respond, that Marcus's death had broken something in me that couldn't be fixed. While I waited, I sent word quietly. To the right people. The ones who understood what needed to happen. I didn't give detailed orders. Didn't need to. Just made it known that the 6 men who'd killed Marcus were no longer under any protection. That whatever happened to them, I wouldn't interfere. That's all it took. Because people who'd been waiting for permission, people who'd been held back by structure and rules, suddenly had freedom. And they used it. Information started coming in. Where each of the 6 men lived. Their routines. Their families. Their habits. Who they trusted. Where they felt safe. None of them realized what was happening. They were too busy celebrating. Too busy believing they'd changed the power dynamics. Too busy planning their next moves. They had no idea they were already finished. The first one was taken on a Sunday morning. Coming out of church. Grabbed in the parking lot. Quiet. Clean. Nobody saw anything useful. He disappeared before anyone realized he wasn't just running late. The second one vanished from a bar on Tuesday night. Walked into the bathroom. Never walked out. The bartender found his jacket on the floor 20 minutes later. The third and fourth were taken together. Thursday evening. Sitting in a car waiting for someone. The car was found abandoned the next morning. No signs of struggle. Just gone. The fifth one got smart. Went to ground. Told his family he was leaving town. Packed a bag. Made it to the bus station. Got grabbed in the parking garage before he reached the terminal. The sixth one ran further. Made it to Philadelphia. Stayed with family. Thought distance meant safety. But distance doesn't mean anything when everyone knows what you did. He was picked up on a Tuesday morning. Week and a half after Marcus died. By the time we had all 6, nobody was talking about Marcus anymore. They were talking about the disappearances. About how 6 men had vanished in less than 2 weeks. About how nobody had seen anything. About how even the ones who ran couldn't get far enough. That's when fear started spreading. Because people understood what it meant. That being part of a group didn't protect you. That coordination didn't mean safety. That if Bumpy Johnson wanted you, time and distance were just delays, not escapes. We brought them to a warehouse in Red Hook. Old shipping facility. Empty. Isolated. The kind of place where you could make noise and nobody would hear. Not that we needed to make noise. They were all there when I walked in. Tied to chairs. Separate from each other. They'd been kept apart since capture. Hadn't spoken to each other. Didn't know who'd said what. Each one thinking the others might have talked already. I didn't say anything at first. Just walked in front of each one. Looked at them. Let them see my face. Let them understand who was standing there. Some of them tried to talk. Tried to explain. Tried to beg. I didn't respond. Didn't acknowledge them. Just kept looking. After a while, one of them, the one who'd organized it, tried a different approach. We didn't have a choice, he said. Marcus was in the way. You know how it is. Sometimes you have to make moves. I stopped in front of him. You think I'm here because you made a move? He didn't answer. You're here because you killed my brother, I said. And because you thought numbers meant protection. There's 6 of us, he said, trying to sound brave. You think killing us won't bring heat? You think people won't notice? People already noticed, I said. They noticed 6 men disappeared after killing someone I cared about. They noticed nobody found them for 2 weeks. They noticed that when I want something done, it gets done. That's what they noticed. I nodded to the men I'd brought with me. They started untying the 6 from their chairs. Not freeing them. Moving them. Outside the warehouse, there was a truck. Flatbed. The kind used for hauling construction equipment. We'd positioned it specifically. Backed up to the loading dock. The 6 men were brought out one by one. They started to understand when they saw the truck. Started to resist. Started to fight. Didn't matter. They were moved onto the truck bed. All 6 of them. Then tied. Not separately. Together. Wrists bound to wrists. Ankles to ankles. Connected in a chain. So that if one fell, they all fell. If one tried to run, they'd drag the others. They were linked. Permanently. Just like they'd been linked when they killed Marcus. You acted together, I said. You coordinated. You believed 6 men were stronger than one. So now you stay together. Whatever happens next, you handle it as a group. I didn't explain what would happen next. Didn't need to. They understood. Tied to a truck. In a warehouse district. With nobody coming to help them. I left them there. All 6. Bound together. Facing whatever came. And I made sure word spread about where they were. Made sure certain people knew the warehouse was unguarded. That 6 men were inside. That what happened to them was between them and whoever showed up. I don't know exactly what happened after I left. Don't need to know. The point wasn't the details. The point was the symbolism. 6 men who'd acted together were left to face consequences together. Couldn't separate. Couldn't run. Couldn't save themselves at each other's expense. They'd wanted to show strength through numbers. I showed them that numbers become a weakness when you can't move independently. The bodies were found 3 days later. Still tied together. Still on that truck. Exactly where we'd left them. The police investigated. Asked questions. Got nowhere. Nobody had seen anything. Nobody knew anything. Nobody wanted to talk about 6 men who'd killed someone they shouldn't have killed and paid the price everyone expected them to pay. The case went cold within a month. Filed away. Unsolved. Nobody pushed for answers because everyone already understood what had happened and why. And that was the point. Not to hide it. But to make sure everyone knew without anyone saying it officially. After that, something changed in how people approached me. How they talked about my people. How they calculated risk. Because they'd learned something that needed to be learned, that touching someone I called brother wasn't a power move. It was suicide. And that doing it as a group just meant more people died. The message was clear. Permanent. Written in a way that couldn't be misunderstood. Marcus was gone. Nothing brought him back. But the men who'd taken him learned, briefly, what it meant to cross that line. And everyone who heard about what happened to them learned it forever. That's not revenge. That's education. Teaching a lesson that needed to be taught so it wouldn't need to be taught again. Some people called it brutal. Called it excessive. Said 6 men for 1 man wasn't balanced. But they didn't understand. It wasn't 6 men for 1 man. It was 6 men for the 1 man I trusted completely. For the man who'd protected my interests and my secrets for 30 years. For the brother I'd chosen. And that made it not just balanced, but necessary. Because loyalty is rarer than money. Rarer than power. Rarer than almost anything in this world. And when you find it, when you have it, you protect it. Not with words. With consequences so severe that nobody ever considers testing it again. Marcus's death taught me something I'd known but needed to remember. That in this life, you don't have many people you can truly count on. Most people are transactional. They're with you because of what you provide. Because of what you can do for them. And the moment that calculation changes, they're gone. But a few, very few, are different. They're with you because of who you are. Because of shared history and mutual respect and something deeper than business. When you find those people, you hold on to them. And when you lose them, you make sure the world understands what that loss means. The 6 men who killed Marcus thought they were sending me a message. They thought they were demonstrating power. They thought they were announcing their arrival as serious players. Instead, they volunteered for a different kind of message. One that I sent through them. About what happens when you mistake my patience for weakness. When you confuse my strategy for hesitation. When you think that because I don't react immediately, I'm not going to react at all. They became the lesson. The story that got told in quiet voices. The warning that spread without me saying a word. 6 men tied to one truck. Not because it was the most efficient way to handle them. But because it communicated something that needed to be communicated. That coordination doesn't mean protection. That acting together doesn't distribute consequences. That when you come for someone I care about, you don't get to face things separately. You face them exactly as you approached them. Together. Bound. Unable to escape what you created. That's strategy. That's communication. That's how you teach lessons that last. Years later, people still talk about it. Still reference it when they're explaining how things work. Still use it as the example of why you don't touch certain people. Not because of the violence. Because of what the violence meant. Because of the thought behind it. Because it demonstrated that I wasn't just dangerous when provoked. I was precise when provoked. And precision is more frightening than chaos. Because chaos is unpredictable. But precision means someone's thinking. Planning. Considering not just what to do, but how to do it in a way that resonates long after the act is finished. Marcus would have understood. Would have appreciated the efficiency. The symbolism. The way one action served multiple purposes. He taught me a lot over the years. About patience. About thinking past the immediate. About the importance of making moves that solve problems permanently instead of temporarily. What happened to those 6 men was what he would have advised if our positions had been reversed. If I'd been the one killed and he'd been the one deciding how to respond. He would have said. Make it count. Make it memorable. Make it educational. Don't just punish them. Make them the lesson for everyone else. So that's what I did. For him. And for everyone who came after. The 6 men who killed my brother made a choice. They coordinated. They acted. They believed they'd changed something. They did. They changed what people thought was possible. What people thought I was willing to do. What people thought brotherhood meant to me. They proved it meant everything. And that taking it away meant losing everything. 6 men. 1 truck. 1 message that never needed to be repeated. Because some lessons are taught once. And everyone who matters learns them forever.